Welcome to Episode 6 of the Ragged Alliance cast for the BRG Alliances. I'm Xenix1, BRG Team Leader and Officer in Hope. New episodes post every other Monday. Please speak to your guild officers or guild leader to have content you'd like to include in the podcast sent to me by the Friday before the next podcast. Complete MP4 videos with audio or MP4 video and MP3 audio files are appreciated. This episode starts with a special message from our Alliance leader, TK2618.
Hello BRG, this is TK2618. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about where we are as an alliance, where we're going as an alliance, and then share a few thoughts that I've had over the past week or two with you that I think are important. BRG is growing as an alliance, and when I say growing, I don't just mean in size. We are growing in size, and that's always a good thing to meet new players and new friends, but we're also growing in the ways that we serve our community. We offer more to our players and our individual guilds than we ever have before, and a lot of that is due to the work that our team leaders and their teams have been doing. Just in this past week alone, we have talked to a prospective new guild, we have helped Sent by Ravens rebuild, and we have added multiple under-the-hood improvements that are usually never seen by the average guild member, but whose effects can be felt every time we work on a new task. Our team leaders are doing a fantastic job. The teams that they have built have begun to take on a lot of the task that we're weighing the team leaders down, and that allows them to focus on the bigger picture. Our recruiting team is humming along, and one of the biggest improvements that we've made there is that now, when a guild needs a player, we're not simply looking for any available player. We're looking for a player that fits that guild. We have many people who are now familiar with what our guilds need, what our guilds are looking for, and who are able to connect recruits with the right guild for them. And that takes into account things like guild raid times, language, and all kinds of other factors that the average person and myself just doesn't think about. One thing that always impresses me is that the people who are able to work on this team, the guild officers from our various guilds, are able to act in a way that is unselfish and unbiased and help recruits find the best home, regardless of what their guild may or may not need at that given time. Our resource team has also been doing good work. There is more information available on our server now than I can ever remember having. Our Ask an Expert channel has been extremely useful to me personally, and I know that many others have found it handy as well, as we all work to adjust to the new metas and the new tunes that have been released. One of the most exciting parts of that program to me is our Become an Expert channel, which allows anyone to become an expert in one or two particular areas. I think that most of us would say that we know one or two areas well, but are hesitant to say that we know the entire game. And this system lets people who have questions talk to people who have answers in one specific area. One team that you've probably noticed is our new Guild Liaison team. The Guild Liaison team is there as a way for the Alliance staff and myself to keep in touch with all of our member guilds. I can tell you from personal experience that it's very difficult to keep up with what's going on in 15 or 16 guild servers. But with our Guild Liaison team, they're able to not only keep us up to date on how the guild is doing, but they're also able to get to know the individual guild members, which is a good way for us to stay connected and stay on top of any potential issues. So, BRG is growing, not just in size, not just in capability, but we're also growing as a community. I am finding more and more that BRG is not just a gaming group, it's a community. I am fortunate enough that I am in all of our guild servers, and so I see many conversations. Some are focused on gaming. Who has what tune? Who's been able to unlock the new frustrating one that no one can get? I'm sure you can guess who I'm talking about at this point. But woven among those gaming conversations, I have also seen moments of real humanity in our group. I have seen someone who is devastated by the loss of a pet go and talk to his guildmates and watched as they offered their condolences and understanding. I have seen parents who were so proud of something that their child had done that they just had to post a picture. Not on social media, but to this group of gaming friends. I have seen people at the lowest point of their lives turn to the people that they know through the end of a chat application keyboard and say, I am going through a tough time in my life. Please help me. These things don't happen simply because we all share a common interest in a game. And they are a sign that what we have built here is bigger than any one person or any one game. I have found this to be true in my own life as well. This week that's upcoming, I will be admitted to the hospital to undergo surgery. While it is not particularly dangerous, it is certainly going to be unpleasant, and it's something that I have not been looking forward to. In the weeks leading up to this, I found that I have been reaching for my phone more and more to talk to the people that I've met on here. Sometimes I just need a laugh, but other times it's nice to know that there are people who know who I am, who miss when I'm not around, and who take an interest in what happens to me. And I know that that's something that many of you have also experienced. This is a different group because we have so many people here that act unselfishly, and that's not common in either society or in gaming groups like this. One of the things that constantly astonishes me is how we've managed to build a leadership team that seems full of people who are willing to go the extra mile for people that aren't in their group, that they have no loyalty to outside of the fact that we are all in the same alliance. Those of you who played SWFC with me can attest to the fact that at the top, it gets really cutthroat. And even in your own group, it's hard to find someone who genuinely has your best interest at heart. Please understand that I'm not saying that our group is perfect. We have certainly had our growing pains, and we have certainly had our share of problems. That said, overall, I believe that this group is different because we are committed to working together and making everyone successful instead of just making one or two small groups successful. That attitude is one of the things that gave me a lot of reassurance when I considered what would happen when I wouldn't be at the phone for a few days. I know that the team leaders will continue to lead this alliance using those same ideas and principles that we've always used. I know that the guild leaders will keep leading their guilds and watching over their members and doing the best they can to build up both their guild and the alliance. I know that when I am able to get back on my phone, I will have a whole group of people waiting for me, interested in how I am and how I've been doing. And I know that that is not something that I've always had. I sincerely hope that you are able to find a similar experience here in BRG. Yes, we're here for a game, but what we have created goes beyond the game, and the glimpses that we get into each other's personal lives are not only important, but they can be meaningful in ways that we can't always understand. I hope that everyone has a great week. I hope that you're able to enjoy time with your family, time with the game, and time with each other. Thanks for listening.
Territory Wars Shoutout.
If you have a shout out for one of your guild mates, please direct message me the details in Discord and I'll make sure to include it. Did you put someone new in charge of territory wars or territory battles? Was there an exceptional player that you promoted to officer? Maybe you have someone in a new role that should be recognized. If your guild has promoted someone and you'd like them mentioned, please send me a direct message in Discord and I'll make sure they're listed here.
This is TK2618. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes about what I've learned about using a Padme squad in the arena. The arena is tough, and there's no way that I found to avoid Darth Revan squads, but there are ways to move up in the arena without taking on the toughest ones. Now, on my team, the first one that I'd like to look at is Padme. You can see I've modded her primarily for health. She's at relic level 5, and you can see that even at relic level 5, she does get fairly significant boost to her health, protection, and several other stats. Her speed is at 278, and you do want her fast because the faster she is, the more times that she can dispel buffs and gain stacks of courage, which is how this team functions. The next one we're going to look at is Ahsoka. Ahsoka is modded for health, again, which is important with this team, as well as critical damage. Her multiple attacks mean that she's a pretty powerful attacker, and her special can easily wipe out a stubborn character. She's at relic level 4 here, and you can see, as we look at the stats, that she does get some pretty significant boost as well. And relic level 4 is even easier to get than 5. Her speed is up around 200. I didn't worry about her speed too much because she gets pulled into assist so much with the way that the team is built, especially with GK and Anakin on the team. She is probably the weakest member of the team, but in general, the other teams don't seem like they focus on her too much, and it hasn't really been an issue for me. Anakin is the one that I have pushed up the highest. You can see that he's modded for health. There are speed secondaries, and he also has some critical chance on there, which is important for his special. His overpowering assault special is really one of the big keys to this team. At relic level 7, it can absolutely take out multiple enemies. The protection up, as well as the fact that his attack takes out all the buffs on all the enemies, means that you can build your offense around this attack, and it also means that it'll be one of your opening moves. Now, mine is relic level 7. As a free-to-play player, relic level 7 is tough. This is the one I chose to do it on. You can see that his health and protection aren't quite as high as some of the other tunes. His speed is good, which means he attacks a lot. His potency is high, which means he has a good chance of sticking buff immunity. And you can see from some of these other stats, like the critical chance, that when he hits, it's going to be a hard hit. Relic level 7 is a tough climb, but this is one of the ones that I think is worth it, simply because he is so important to this team, and because his skill as a pilot will come in handy with the changing fleet meta. Now, my GK is primarily modded for health, but the one that I wanted to show you before we moved on is Threepio. He's not always included on this team, but I think he's a critical part of the team because of his specials. The first one here is the Fretful Mediator one, and you can see that it ups the critical damage of everyone. More damage, always good. The big one, though, is Intermediary. And this is because they gain protection up, for each non-unique buff that they get. And Padme teams are all about gaining buffs. You'll find that you live or die by the buffs you get. And interestingly enough, with this team, what you're really looking for is a team that will apply a lot of debuffs so that Padme can come in with her special, turn that into stacks of courage. And when that happens, your team is going to hit like a brick wall. So what I'd like to show you is how this team works against a couple teams that aren't Darth Revan. There's a lot of videos on that. I'm not sure there's a lot of videos on this. So the first one that I'm going to show you is one of the GK teams. And this is actually one of the straight droid teams, which is kind of interesting. So what you're going to see here is that these battles are primarily going to work the same. Now, I will confess, I have not seen a lot of these in the upper levels of the arena, but this is certainly something that I saw when I was climbing up from, say, the top 100. And you can see that the protection that this team gains allows them to sort of keep ahead of this really tough droid offense. Padme is going to keep adding the stacks of courage. And GK is going to do a good job of standing up to this. Grievous does hit like a ton of bricks. I will warn you that there have been multiple battles that I've fought against teams like this where out of nowhere, Grievous sort of came up and just wiped somebody out. But the nice thing about this team is, depending on who you lose, and I'll admit that if you lose Padme, it gets a little tougher, the team will keep rolling because there's so many redundancies built into it. And even though I have my relics pushed up higher, and on this video they're not actually, they're a little bit lower, but even though I have my relics pushed up higher, this team still works at lower levels. So it's not something that you have to dump everything that you have into, and you can see that resulted in a pretty quick win. This next one is one of the more common teams that I'm seeing higher up. It usually involves a really high level Grievous and then 4 other supporting droids. And the thing about this is I have almost never gone first in these matches. You'll see here the droids are all going to go first. They're going to apply debuffs, which is actually good for me. And as long as you can survive Grievous's opening move, you're going to win. Here, you can see courage, and now Ahsoka hits, no more Grievous. And at this point, the team is just toast. These battles end up being really fast. I think this one takes about 40 seconds. And it only took that long because I paused to record the video. This Shock T team is a recent addition to the upper levels of my arena shard. In this team, their Anakin is usually pushed up to relic level 7, with other tunes having zetas and relic levels of their own, although not usually as high. You do have to be careful how you fight it, but as long as you follow the battle order I'm about to talk about, you should be able to win. Here, what I would recommend doing is go after 5s first. You don't want to kill another clone and leave 5s because then they take on his stats. Anakin probably won't wipe your team out initially, especially if yours is faster and you can get off that first shot. Take out 5s, it'll make your life simpler. Then you can either go after Shock T or Anakin. I usually go after Shock T simply because her abilities can make the other clones more difficult than they need to be. Anakin is still a concern, but on his own, without the other teammates that you find in a Padme team, he just doesn't hit as hard. And at this point, take out whoever you'd like. If you can take out some of these teams, it'll give you some easy arena rank without having to fight some of the harder Revan teams. I know that for myself, this allowed me to move up in the ranks, avoid some of the tougher teams, and finish higher, which obviously equals more crystals, which equals, well, a happier me. Hope you guys have a great week. Thanks.
Thank you for watching the BRG Ragged Alliance cast. If you have suggestions for segments for the podcast or would like to contribute, please reach out to your guild officers or GL.